Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you have not been here before. My name is Maddie and I make videos on veganism, minimalism, and self-care. So if that is something that you would be interested in, go ahead and click the subscribe button down below to support my channel and to see more videos from me in the future. So in my very last video on minimalism, we talked about 5 ways that you can declutter your closet space. And also in that video, I mentioned to you guys that the next video I was going to be making on minimalism was going to be surrounding how to stop spending your money and how to stop bringing more things into your house after you have already minimized your space. So I did actually film that video and I edited it for you guys too, but then I realized that there was something else I kind of wanted to talk about before we jump into that. Yesterday, I spent the day going through my grandma's house with her and decluttering the space. Basically, everyone in my family has lived in her house at some point. So we all have these things that we have left behind when we lived there, and they're all just, you know, stored away in different parts of the house. We're going through and tossing things and keeping things and kind of organizing the place and giving her more of a minimized space. But a lot of things that we were going through kind of had, you know, some nostalgic vibes to them, and in that way they were sentimental. They were things like family photos and jewelry, like drawings or paintings that some of us made when we were in kindergarten that are fun to look back on. It just reminded me of how hard minimalism can sometimes be when you are getting to the items that have memories behind them. There are definitely things that I have or have had in my space that I held on to or continue to hold on to for sentimental reasons. For example, when I was in high school, I used to save every single flower that someone gave me. Could be for like a school dance or Valentine's Day or birthdays. I would save it after it died in the vase and put it in a box and keep it in my closet. Not weird. As we were going through the sentimental items and trying to minimize them, it just reminded me of how difficult minimalism can sometimes be. It wasn't only the sentimental parts too. We got to items that were brand new, still in their original box, or things that have never been worn or never been used, but we just didn't have a purpose for them. And we hadn't found a purpose for them since we bought them. And these items can be super difficult to minimize too, because oftentimes you spend a lot of money or a lot of time and then you never get them put to use and it just seems like a waste. And that is why minimalism is difficult for a lot of people, and that's also why it's a process too. And so I came to the conclusion of what really holds us back when it comes to living with the stuff that actually matters to us and getting rid of the excess stuff that isn't adding any value to our lives. And that is guilt. I've been on this minimalism journey for quite some time now, and I have experienced a whole lot of guilt when getting rid of my stuff, but also helping people get rid of their stuff too. And guilt usually happens in one of 3 ways I have noticed. And the very first way guilt often happens is when you have those items with memories attached to them, or they have some kind of sentimental or family value to them. And because there is a meaning or a memory attached to the item, you feel like getting rid of it is doing an injustice. The second way is kind of relevant for this time of the year, and that is when someone else gives you a gift that you don't really have a use for, but you feel like it's just the right thing to do to hold on to it because it was thoughtful of them. And the third scenario is when something is brand new or was expensive and you feel like letting it go would be wasting your money or wasting a perfectly good thing. So those are 3 really common ways that people feel guilt when minimizing. I am sure there are a lot more, but those are the ones that I notice come up a lot when minimizing. But now we need to kind of talk about what is the problem with guilt, and is it really the right thing to do to hold on to these items that, you know, we're just saving to avoid that feeling. Here's kind of the solution that I came to. Your feelings for something or for someone, this could also apply to people too, your true feelings are not going to change. The longer you hold on to a $100 perfume that you impulsively bought isn't going to magically make you love the smell someday if you absolutely hate it. And the longer you keep a vase that you made in 2nd grade art class in your storage room isn't going to suddenly make you want to look at it more or even like it more every time you do look at it. Our feelings for things are not going to change, and it's so common to get something, to buy something, and end up not liking it. Although it really does suck sometimes, you might be doing yourself a little bit more of an injustice by holding on to it. When you hold on to an item that isn't truly bringing you happiness, you are one, turning that item into a burden because you feel like you have to keep it, and two, taking away from the things that you actually like in your life or that actually bring you a sense of joy. And what I mean by this is that you are taking part of your energy and giving it to an item that you don't really enjoy that much, when that energy could be going towards appreciating the things that you do have in your life that do actually bring you happiness. So I came up with some solutions for you guys if you do face this in your minimalism journey. The first thing that I have for you kind of has to do with the sentimental items, or I guess you could even apply it to a person if you're trying to minimize your relationships in the new year. And that is to appreciate the item for the memories that it had in your life and for the time and place where it was something of value to you. And you are appreciating this item and giving it, you know, all that love that it deserves, but you are ultimately going to pass it on after you give it that respect in a way. For example, I went through some stuff that I had from past relationships in my life that I was holding on to, kind of just fun to look back on. And so, you know, I took time to go through each of them and kind of just mentally appreciate the time when this relationship was present in my life and all of the things that I had to look back on that relationship, but then moving on and just remembering that the memories are still, you know, up here in my noggin. The items aren't a physical copy of that relationship or a physical copy of that memory, just a tangible product of that. The second thing that you can do, and kind of apply to all the different things that we talked about, is to pass it on to someone that will actually care for the thing. Now this kind of has to do with the stuff that, you know, we bought and never really found a use for, but we feel guilty just throwing it away. Pass it on to someone that you know is going to get some type of value from it. I know it's sometimes hard to like take a box of things to a thrift shop and kind of have them, you know, find someone who would like the item, because then we're like, oh my gosh, well maybe, you know, it'll never get picked up and then it's just a waste and I feel bad because now their environment's being ruined. If your first option can be finding someone that you know will actually use the item, then you're gonna feel a lot less guilty of letting it go and not finding a use yourself for that item. The third option is to just cut your loss. Minimalism is definitely an educational process. You learn a lot about the stuff that you actually use, and you also learn a lot about your buying habits that maybe aren't serving you a purpose in your life. It's really hard to do this one sometimes, and I know like even helping other people go through it and they're like, I spent so much money on this. I'm looking at this pile of things that I don't use and that we're going to minimize, and all I see is the amount of money that I put into it. But you really can't focus on that when you are minimizing. Especially if you are in a good financial state yourself, do not worry about past money and past buying decisions that you made that might not have been the best choice. The best thing to do is to just let it go and to learn from the mistake that you made. And hey, now you know in the future that you don't really need an extra pair of scissors, or maybe you don't really need a whole set of plates from Guatemala. It's okay. And honestly, it's kind of a winning situation now because you know the mistakes that you made and therefore you are not going to make them again. And my number 4 thing to do is to just, you know, take a little picture. I've actually heard this one from multiple people, but if you have something that, you know, you don't want to fully let go of yet, but you don't really need the tangible thing, and just take a picture of it, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. Maybe you have a love letter that you received from high school and you don't really need the actual copy because it's taking up space in your house, but maybe you can just, you know, take a little picture on your phone and upload it to a safe spot, and you will have that digital copy of it forever. And my very last solution for you guys is that if it is something that is truly meaningful to you and truly important to you, just keep it. Minimalism isn't about living with less and only having 10 articles of clothing and 3 cups. It's really about living with more meaning. We want to make our lives meaningful on this planet while we are here, and to surround ourselves with those things that do make us happy. That is all I have for you guys today. Please stay tuned for that video on how to stop spending your money and bringing more items into your house after you have minimized. And good luck to all of you on your minimalism journey. I will see you guys soon.